Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Hey, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I got you. How you going?
Awesome. You have a good break?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. Did you get much of a break?
Just work most of the time, but
Nice.
I guess I can have a break tomorrow,
Oh
like
yeah,
a day.
right on.
Let's see. Okay, cool. I was telling students yesterday, that I was worried about the US. There's people who don't think Australia is real.
Oh yeah. Oh, so good. And then there's also a bunch of them that are like, didn't they say they feel like they want to protest for us because we're so oppressed over here? I remember hearing that, and I think
I,
that's kind of
I
crazy.
don't know. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
That's a thing.
like they're so concerned about us being oppressed, and I think that's so funny. Like I've never felt oppressed as a person, but maybe I'm just very lucky that way.
I
Yeah,
don't
don't they
know.
believe they think that like Australia's some sort of a scam and like platypuses and stuff are robots or something? I remember hearing
I
that.
don't know.
It's weird, man.
I've never heard that, but I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I'm just hearing all the extreme ones, I think.
I mean, I think it's extreme, but then I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of things from my friends too. Yeah, just mind your own business. That's
Mm,
what you do.
yeah.
When I went with a student this morning, that's what he said. He was like, "Yeah, I just mind my own business, dude. I don't see what's anything. It's mind my own business. Just move on."
Yeah. Now, am I as a TA able to, like allowed to submit my stuff to get feedback as well?
Yeah, that's what Duncan's been doing.
Sick. Okay, so I was gonna do it for the 22 that were due this week, but I fell a little bit behind, so I'm gonna spend the rest of the week trying to catch up, and then I'll submit it for next week, if that's all right.
Sure, no problem. No problem. We're doing the same thing this week
Yeah,
because
yeah, right on.
it's still the similar issue. So like,
Yeah.
I spent the whole time just doing crits
Mm.
last time, and yesterday we got to every one of them. So
Oh,
I think
nice.
we can do that. So let's see here. What is this? This is curve. Just move these all over to the left side, and I can just bring them all over. Yeah, because the character class, it's been fun because this week it's the lecture was on drapery.
Very nice.
So every week, because if you have a character design class, it's kind of hard to critique in a way. Most of the time, you can only critique it mostly um uh what's it called? You can only critique it based upon like you have to listen to the student's story, and then since there's no real standard, we can only critique it on an idea and maybe technical skills. Whereas what I'm doing right now is I'm basically um, like we take one franchise and we try to put it in another, and then so that way like the students in class, they don't have to worry about designing new kinds of drapery, so they can just solely focus on drapery like that it's already there for them, and they just have to figure out a style and the proportions to make it more interesting. You're absolutely allowed to redesign the character a little bit, but like basically like first week was take two characters from Kubo and then put them in the if you had to put them in the game Mark of the Ninja, so you have to draw it in that style.
That's so cool. What class is this for? Like, where is this? Like, where are you
Oh, this
doing this
is
class
for
right
yeah, this is for brainstorm. It's
now? Ah,
something I've
that's
been
right.
doing more recently. Here, I'll show you. I do the homework with the class. The second week's homework, I didn't get to work on it that long or that much, but first week was that. So they're let me see here, brainstorm or classes. Brainstorm, week one. So they have to take Mark of the Ninja character and then use that style to design. Well, I did the Beetle guy and Kubo, like the easiest one.
That's really sick. Wait, I
And
think
then
Amara, can you hear me now? Is that all right?
uh, 22.
Hello? Can anybody on Collaborate hear me? Oh, wait. I know what I did. Yeah, no, that's my bad. It was muted on Collaborate. I totally forgot about it. But that's all good. You should be able to hear me now. It's just been me and Brian chatting. You know, just socially. It should be. He's the lecturer, you know? I'm just here controlling all the computers. My knowledge isn't that important.
Jeez. Yeah, so I was just saying, the second week was they have to take a One Punch Man character, two of them, and then put them in what's it called, the Pixar universe. So this one I didn't get to spend that much time on. And then this week's homework is they get a choice because we went over drapery. They have to take two characters from Samurai Showdown, and the choice was you either do it in Scott Campbell style, so it has to fit into any like Scott Campbell's world, like any of the designs that he has, or they could pick Chris Sanders, who's like the guy who did Lilo and Stitch, and they all picked
yeah.
Lilo and Stitch. So that's what they're doing this week.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, I want to sign up for this class one day. I reckon that'd be heaps of fun.
Yes, it's because the point of the class is to just get people sketching, and because it's basically preparation for the fifth week. Well, if Simon asks, we can do that.
We could all bug him about it. I'm sure we can get it happening.
Because the point of the class is just to get people sketching, like a lot, just sketching. Because the idea is, when you're concepting, you need to just throw out ideas. That's what a concept artist does, right? Before they get into like the pimped out nice final finish, you got to just have a lot of ideas first. And usually we don't sketch or ideate enough. So the point of the class is to just get people comfortable sketching, and the real assignment happens on the fifth week, where basically the first 5 weeks are just like review. There's a head drawing lecture for that class. It was the Pixar thing, so they have to draw a bunch of heads. From One Punch Man, you try to make them look like a Pixar character, and you do the full body. First week was body types, so they just play around with body types and shape proportions for Mark of the Ninja. This week was drapery, so they have to draw characters that have drapery. Next week will be hands, so they have to make sure that whatever characters they design, their hands have to be finished or their hands have to be designed. And after that, it'll be a body, simplified anatomy. So we'll design characters from another franchise that mainly show off their bodies. So most likely they'll be drawing like muscular kind of characters. And after that, it'll be you have to take characters, one character from Naruto, and this is for 5 weeks, and put them in Ghost of Tsushima. So there's a lot of design constraints because you can't just take a character from Naruto and just put them in the world of Ghost of Tsushima, and it doesn't work like that. You have to completely redesign them so that they can fit. And like Ghost of Tsushima is realistic, right? Like all the armor, everything has been researched, so that gives you a style guide. Also, there's already concept art for it, so you can see the level of finish. I mean, you can try to one up it by going a level higher, but it has to that's the standard.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that should be fun. So the idea is at the end of the on the 10th week, when we look at the final design, what will determine is this a good design or not, is if you put them next to a Ghost of Tsushima character, or you look at that world, does your character fit in? So yeah, we're gonna have to figure something out like on that day. So we'll discuss as a class which characters we can design, because and we have to figure something out. Like Ghost of Tsushima doesn't have like magic, or they do kind of have magic. It's like lightning, but that's not really like on command. Like if you take a character like Gaara, who controls protects himself with sand, and you put him in Ghost of Tsushima, he doesn't fit.
Yeah.
He really doesn't fit. So if you want to put him in that world, we have to figure something out so it's more more grounded in reality. Obviously, he can't. We're just joking around. So maybe he just carries sand in his pocket. And he throws sand in your eyes, and
I mean that's pretty useful. I mean, in a fight, you screw with the vision. That's a good way to do it. Yeah,
with your vision, but like you're dealing with people like who have knives and swords and they're running at you with shields. I mean, and some of them are wearing helmets, so I think throwing sand at them would be kind of useless. And you're on the beach, so
Yeah, that's true. I guess you could use like, well, they probably have Kakashi. He's probably one you could use.
they
Who
could
else?
use, yeah. But yeah, we have to try to base it more in reality. We can't be like, oh yeah, so he can, do his. I forget what the move is called. Where they can already see everything you're gonna do, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
psychologically, they know you can't do that on. Um, Although, like I know in Ghost of Tsushima, they have but it makes sense. It's like they have a shaman who sings, and then it makes the other warriors more aggressive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they have that, but I can understand that like if you listen to like if you hear like Mongol like war chants, it really riles you up. It's like, oh yeah, okay, let's do this, let's go. So I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Plus, I think they're in the game it kind of implies they use like hallucinogens and stuff. Like that's what one of the character does to you. So you basically high or it messes with your head, and that does happen in reality. Um, yeah, do you guys know about berserkers? And this is a cool fact, but
Yeah, man.
they're real. They existed. Um, like the Vikings, they had these guys called war. I don't necessarily think they're a warrior class, but they're called berserkers. Um, and they would dress like animals. And a lot of from what I've read and the documentaries I've seen of historians talking about them, and it seems like people were really scared of them. Like generally, they were scared because these guys I mean, they can kill a lot of people, and by a lot, I mean like there was one I think who killed about 20 guys by himself, and it took a bunch of like stabbings to kill him. I mean, they get killed. But it turns
Yeah.
out they get like this because they get high on some kind of mushroom.
Yeah, I remember
And
reading about that. And they I guess
yeah,
they don't feel anything, I guess, or they don't process it the same way because they just keep going. And they
yeah,
just
just keep going.
yeah.
And then until if it wears off and you crash. There's like two things interesting. Um, I I told my buddy about this a while back, and he used to be a cop, and he would talk about I forget. I think people on was it PCP or Speed. He said like, yeah, you can tase them, you can even shoot some of them. They don't stop. Like they don't feel anything. They'll just keep coming at you. It's like they're like real zombies.
Yeah, yeah.
So it makes sense. But the other interesting thing I read was that, or the mushroom itself is I forget like the mushroom that they refer to or that they think that they use. They said if you just cook it and you take it, one of the problems is yeah, you won't feel anything, but you'll also be nauseous and be vomiting, and you're kind of you'll be useless. You don't have coordination. But if it goes through somebody, if it gets strained, like if you drink, someone does the mushrooms and then they pee it out, or they pee and then you drink that person's urine. They said you don't get the nauseousness and everything, and so the historian was saying they think that they get one guy who um who will eat the mushrooms. I forget, take the mushrooms, whatever. And when he takes a piss, they'll drink his piss, and then they'll be the ones that can actually fight. And so I thought that was interesting. That's not the interesting part for me. The interesting part is how did they figure that out?
I'm guessing there was a lot of alcohol involved. They were having a drink. The guy's like, I'll drink piss, and that's where it happens. Surely that's where it happens.
Yeah.
I think I remember reading about them, and I think often they would just go into battle completely naked, which is another
Yeah,
thing that would totally psych out the opponent. Like you got some crazy dude sprinting at you wearing nothing. I feel like that would win you the fight, I think.
Yeah. I mean, uh, if when you read the history of weapons and battles and stuff, it's really interesting. Like, there was they were trying to see if have you guys heard of the flying guillotine? It's a movie,
No.
but it's also they're wondering if that weapon is actually real because there's um not there's kind of literature about it. Do you know what that is? It basically looks like a hat, and you throw it, and then it goes over someone's head, and they yank the chain, and it cuts your head off. So it's called a flying guillotine.
Dude, that's sick. Tell me more.
Yeah, but they're saying that probably it's not practical, and they probably really didn't use it during a battle because it's a very clunky weapon. It's kind of big, and also it's hard to get it over someone's head if they're not stationary. So the main I think like one of the consensus is that they think that it's more of a battle tact, like you start rumors, right? And then
Yeah, that's right.
people
You
start
psych them all
hearing
out.
yeah, and then so your opponents get scared because there was like a battle. I think it was during the Crusades where a commander or general saw the opposing army coming, and he knew that, man, I don't have enough men to take them on, you know. So what he did was he had camels and horses just take dry palm leaves and just ride off in opposite directions, like in the desert. And what happened was when the army came towards him, the opposing group, they just saw all this smoke, and they just hear horse sounds, tons of horses running. So they think, oh, and they're seeing all this, like all the sand being rustled up. So they think, man, there's a ton of guys on the other side. So he basically
So
didn't have
smart.
to fight them because it's not like you can just get a drone and check, and yeah, there's only like 100 of them.
Yeah,
So it's like, so yeah, so battle tactics are, like a real thing, and weapons are also like, I don't know, just the history of weapons is really interesting. You know, people are very creative about how to defend themselves, and I thought that was awesome. Anyway,
yeah. That's really cool. I've never heard that story. This one's smart, dude.
yeah, there's lots of things like that where I think it's a Chinese battle where the monks, this monk, to kind of psych out the opponents, they're like, oh, they should be scared, like, oh, the people in the town, they should be scared that we're getting ready to like invade them, and we're gonna destroy everything. The monk basically went outside and just started playing music, like very calmly, and just started singing, kind of to let them know, it's kind of, he's bluffing, let them know that, hey, we're not scared, I'm not
Yeah.
here singing by myself, you know.
That's
And so
freaking
that's
nuts,
psyching him
man.
out. Just like, why are you doing this? Why aren't you scared? You're just outside, Um, so yeah, like the Spartans were very good at psyching people out. I mean, that's part of their battle tactic. They're not they're allowed, they were encouraged to be very witty. Um, and like when the Persians, I think when they saw the Spartans on the battlefield, like when they're spying on them, when they're preparing for battle, they were kind of confused. They thought they were a bunch of pretty boys because they're braiding each other's hair, and they're just like, they're cleaning up. But what the Persians didn't know is that the Spartans are just preparing to die.
Oh, wow. That's so dark.
Because for them, that's like the ultimate thing. And there's like some
It's like
of
the
them
Viking
like
sort of thing,
here
isn't it?
in 300, there's actually historical records of soldiers actually saying those things. Like the one I like was, it's not in 300, but there was I think it was the Persians. They sent someone to say that, if you don't do this, we're going to take over your country. We're going to kill everybody. We're going to, this and this and this. And then, he's been talking for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, telling him, trying to be all scary. He's like, if you do this or you do that, if you don't do this. And then the Spartan, I think the king just said, if.
Nice.
So they were like, warrior culture. So I don't know. They're pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just looking through the homework, it's better than last time, but still need to focus on, like I said, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it is really important to, whatever your shape 1 is, your head and neck and shoulders, we have to connect it to phase 2, and we have to make sure that it's working before we move forward. So this week we're gonna do a homework crit, and we're gonna do the same thing for next week. It'd be 20 figures, and what you're going to do is take some notes and then just draw the figure from your notes, and just it doesn't matter because I want you to practice just getting comfortable with the idea of like a center line, eye line to the ear line, drawing the head, neck, and shoulders to the body. I want to make sure that you get ample practice on just that, because if you can figure that out, like learning how to attach the legs, learning how to attach the arms, it's really easy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man.
And I don't want you guys to feel like, it's the same thing all the time. It's no progress. When I was at Art Center, I had 6 teachers telling me stuff like this for 6 classes. So every day, so like 5 hours, like, you can take 2 to 3 classes a day. Each class is about 5 hours. So for 5 hours, I'll have a teacher say, hey, your head's not connecting to your rib cage. And then, I'll really concentrate on it. I'll go to the next class and I'll think, okay, I got it under control. The instructor comes by, looks at it, doesn't say anything, but at the end of class, he'll point out like a few figures. Yeah, the head's not connected to the rib cage. Like, God damn it. Next day, you go to the next class, you think you got it under control, and your head's not connected to your rib cage. Oh, now the proportion's not good here. You're like, oh, damn, now it's like 2 things. It's like constantly. So yeah, we're just hearing it all the time. Like we have to get to a point where we just do it automatically. So like here, we have a head, it's a 3/4 view facing to the right. And I'm guessing the body is in a front view and there's a slight twist. Okay, so that's what we're going to draw. So we start with our circle. By the way, we discussed this earlier. Apparently, Australia doesn't exist. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Oi, Emily,
yeah.
watch your mouth. You're not supposed to be telling anybody. Keep it hush hush.
Yeah. Yesterday, it's like, oh yeah, they're just paid actors. It's like a whole group of people that they just pay just to say us. It's like,
See,
I
now
don't
you
know.
guys down there, you're not gonna get the money because you just outed yourselves. You've ruined it for yourselves.
That was ridiculous. That people actually believe that, and then I was listening to the guy talking, and then they're like, well, if Australia is not real, where are all these people from who claim to be from Australia? Like, where are they from? And he's like, I don't know where they're from, but I know where they're where they don't come from. Like, dude, you're an idiot.
Could you imagine how much time it would take to get that many people and like resources, get all these people together and get them to agree to pretend that they're from Australia? Like the amount of work that would go into doing a fake out like this, it's nuts. It's like all these people with like the flat Earth thing. It's like all these nations of the world are all working together doing fake space stuff just to convince everyone that it's round. Yeah.
Well,
nuts.
that's not. I love the argument that they say. Oh, like one guy was saying that it's like a river, and then if I saw a guy kayaking down the river, and I didn't see him disappear. And I'm thinking like, dude, if you're the size, if the Earth is like a basketball, and you're the size of a pencil, then yeah, a guy taking a few steps, yeah, he'll start to get shorter and smaller and disappear because it's round, right? But I don't think you understand how big, like 10, 20 feet is not long enough distance to start seeing people disappear.
Yeah. Well, because they've done that thing where they've taken the close-up shot of the basketball where you literally can't see the curve on it. So they've demonstrated the same examples on the basketball, which is what that was like part of their argument in the first place.
I don't know. I just I can't believe this. Like it's like we have cell phones, we have all this insane technology, and then we still have like a group of people believing this. It's like I feel like the US education system has really failed. It's like especially like with the whole I was interested. I really wanted to know. Like you mentioned flat Earth. Like, where does all the water go? How does that work?
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
said the Earth is like a pancake, and like the North Pole and Antarctica, these are the mountains, and that's why the water doesn't fall off the side. And you're like, dude, what?
But what if some of that ice melts? Then does it slip over the side? Is that what happens?
I don't know.
I think I remember hearing them
Uh,
say that like gravity's expanding because the disc is just constantly going upwards. So when you
yeah,
jump,
yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah,
pulled
yeah,
down
yeah.
by
I
it
heard that
moving
one.
up. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's fun. Also sad though, but a little bit fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is sad, like you said. It's like I don't know, and because and that's the thing. I don't see anybody on in other places with this problem of people say, hey, the Earth is flat. Like what? Who told you this? You'll be justifiably laughed at and you know mocked so hard in other countries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, see, Amara's talking about the thing that I was talking about. I didn't have all the information, but yeah, they're protesting for us.
So
So Amara,
I
what's the deal with America protesting for us? I remember hearing bits about it, but I didn't get the full scoop.
circle.
Ah, right, yeah. Mhm.
Eh, I
But
don't
that,
know. Like when you see the people that are protesting and you listen to their argument, it makes me really ashamed to be an American. And then I realize something. People in America who are working and they actually have real stuff to do, they don't go to these protests.
yeah,
They're
that's the
actually
thing.
working. That's the thing. Like I listened to some stuff from City Hall where people are saying, you shouldn't get vaccinated because there's dead baby fetuses or something in the is like one of the recipes, and you're like, who told you this? And then second, it's just these people have been sitting there for I don't know how hours waiting for their turn to talk for like 30 seconds or a couple minutes, and it makes me think, okay, yeah, well, people who actually have stuff to do, they're at work
Yeah,
or
yeah. I think a lot of the time with the protests, you kind of see the what is it, the vocal minority, the people that kind
yeah,
of they spend a lot of time on the internet getting all hyped up with each other, and then there's the rest of us kind of doing our own thing. Yeah, it's
yep.
kind of it's kind of strange.
Yeah, the very big words and sound smart. That's like the people who get arrested and they're like corpus something and all this. And it's like, dude, I just asked to see your driver's license. That's all I asked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really just it just makes me a little bit ashamed to say, oh, you're American. Oh, you guys are insane.
I'm sure we have a bunch of fruitcakes over here as well. They're probably just a little bit more quiet or more spread out.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys know Isaac Butterfield?
Yeah. Yeah, funny guy.
Yeah, I mean he points out like Freely and all of them.
Oh,
But anyway, so workout stage one, just take your time. Doesn't matter what the style is. That's the point. Um, then we get to stage two, figure out the shoulder, like the average width of the shoulder, so you can figure out the bow tie shape. And there's a twist. And keep your drawings malleable so you can easily just move stuff around. So draw my fish shape. locate the crotch. So you can, so you're priming it for, so you can add the Barbie doll, or you can cut into the pelvis. So you can start plotting in your leg. So the twist will happen after the sternum. So that's about once, going to pivot the neck about one circle. There's the end of the sternum. So we know this is a 10th rib. 10th rib will be 90 degrees. Remember, we're just designing a box. And then we'll get our twist. There's a slight twist. And there's the Barbie doll shape. Does that make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So make sure stage 1 and stage 2 are working together. This is really important. It's like a really basic thing. And all of the at least technical type stuff that we do, usually all the errors that we'll have, they're all very simple. It's never something super complex that we need to fix. It's always something in the beginning, or just a very simple concept that's just not working. The idea is, with this level of detail, the image should already read. It should everything should already be working. We never want to try to save a drawing by rendering it or adding more detail. For stage 1 and stage 2. JPEG. Next one, so Andy. The same thing, Andy, when you draw your center line, make sure you connect everything and blend your, oh, this is your week 1. Why is it in this folder? Grab the other one. Okay, is it this one? Is it this one? From this week? Okay, cool. Let me draw this so you can see it. Can you see how a lot of these, the rib cage are twisting? Like the rib cage is twisting. What you want to do is just make sure that, so for here, let's say, maybe let me figure out which way it might be going like this. That makes sense. So maybe it'd be more of a front view. I'll draw the twist. So head facing down, and make sure your center line is in the center. Because if you look at this face, if we look at the amount of distance from here to here, it's too extreme. If we're designing a box, if the head faces forward, and this is our box, the center line should be here, but how this person's going to look is the center line is going to be a little bit off to the right in a front view. So they'll have more face on the left side than the right side. It's a very common thing I see a lot, especially when people do a lot of anime drawings, where if you look at the eye closest to us, it looks like it's really long. And then if you look at the eye further away from us, it looks like it's really small. So if we're looking at somebody, they would have eyes like this. Or even if maybe they're the same size, but it looks like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's start with this one.
I'm just gonna duck out for a sec. Be back real soon.
So just take your time. It's my circle. It's like a 3/4 looking down. Find the center. Half radius. It's like the standard 3/4 view. Find that center line. Drop one radius down for the bottom of the chin. Yeah, that's about right. Extend the skull half radius. Draw that avocado. Three-quarter view, we can use the side of the circle as the jawline. Find the top of the head. Bottom of the chin, cut that in half. Our eye line is somewhere here. There's a side plane. Mark off the mask. Blend my center line. Mark off the ears. Gonna go down for feet. Start figuring out my front plane of my face. Here's the temporal ridge. Temporal ridge tucks behind the ear. Figure out the side plane of my face, or to finish off the other side of the face. It's on this side, it's on the other side as well. Finish off the skull. Draw my mask. that make sense? So there's my head.
I'm back. Looks good.
Remember to rub, or blend your shapes. To start drawing my neck. So I want to pull my neck from the back circle here. Drop one circle down. I'm not going to use this circle. I'm going to use the circle in the back at the top. Circle, so the neck will be somewhere here. There's my twist. Figure out to get the gesture of the shoulders. The left shoulder is higher. Get my gesture line. Remember, if it's wrong, I'm just gonna fix my center line. Right now, it's helping me get an overall gesture and helping me to figure out the overall length of my my figure of Eric. So somewhere here, okay. Here. Bottom of my pelvis, the right side of the pelvis is up. It's a little bit short. Because I have the average shoulder width, I can draw my bow tie shape. So I was having a hard time seeing the drawing. And I can start paying attention to my fish shape and designing my rib cage. So the rib cage is probably, there's a pinch here, so probably the rib cage is at an angle like this. The pelvis is probably at the opposite angle, kind of how I blocked it out down here. So, all right, I can fix my center line now. Start drawing my fish shape. There's my sternum. It's my 10th rib. Get my twist. Here's the crotch. We can plot out the box of the pelvis now. Pelvis is coming up. There's the corner of my box. How the stomach is going to bite in. We have our rib cage. Just make sure you blend all the shapes. So if I just don't cut the legs away, the G.I. Joe shape away, and I just leave this as a box, here's a complete box. And for the rib cage, there's a side plane of the rib cage. Does that make sense? So make sure like we get very comfortable with tracking that center line and keeping things consistent. And this is like, you don't need to actually draw all these forms. As long as we can get a lot of the ideas across with a simple center line, is marking off the corner. Like if you know that this is the center, we know that the box, the 10th rib is going to be 90 degrees to this. And you know where the end of the rib cage is, so it's like, okay, so there's my box. So you're kind of drawing a box without actually drawing all of it, which allows us to have cleaner drawings. Right. So like, and be careful of stuff like this, where if you look at this neck, it connects to the shoulder. We need to clearly have that line. Go towards the direction of the neck. I recommend after you sketch, try to go back in, right? This is good practice. So, I like doing, ink drawings or like the final drawings because, after you do your sketch, a lot of these are just done with one line, like in one shot. Meaning, I have the shape of the hands, or the fingers and everything, I have it blocked out. And when I draw a finger, I don't actually draw it like this. That's just what I had laid in. When it's time to draw it for real, it's done like that. Does that make sense? It'll help you to build hand-to-eye coordination a little bit better, and also it'll help you to economize your lines.
Do you ever have the issue with the lines being a little bit extra wobbly because of, I guess, maybe the disparity between the Wacom and Photoshop?
You mean your lines are like this?
Yeah, well, just like slightly, like you're drawing a line, it's pretty good, and then for some reason, like it just wiggles a bit. You know what I mean?
By itself? You
Yeah.
mean because of the tablet? I don't
Yeah.
think I've had that. I've had lines do this. Like I draw a straight line and it looks like that. You're like, what the hell? Or which direction? It basically looks like little lightning strokes.
Okay.
They just kind of snap where they break. I've had that. Yeah, it must be something with the tablet if you're drawing and all of a sudden it gets wobbly. Unless your arm is a little bit shaky towards the end or something.
Could be that.
Do these little exercises like this it's good to do little exercises like that. Basically, when if I try to draw this line to this line, I don't try to hit here. I try to hit somewhere here. It's like, oh, this curve doesn't look so nice. Let's go back in. I'll fix it. good to do these little simple exercises.
Cool.
Every drawing you do, it's it's like it's a great way it's an opportunity for us to like practice something. If you're having problems with motor skills and your line quality, like sketch it in real so everything is clear so that you can go in and finish the drawing and then go in with the with your line quality, because the under sketch is there, or the lightened drawing, and then try to do everything with 1 or 2 shots.
Sweet as. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Don't focus on complex ideas like center line. If you're good at if you can get good at comfortable with controlling your center line, understanding, like in a center line, this describes something rigid, and this describes like something curved. It describes something more fleshy, and just learning how to keep controlling the box and just having good overlaps, that can already take you a really long way. A lot of times, as I mentioned, anatomy sometimes holds you back because we're too focused on anatomy and we're not focused on the overall shape. And when you focus on the overall shape, you can't not focus on the overall form, because every shape that's closed off easily makes form. So I know I always use this example, but if I do this, and I know all I have to do is, since it's a complete shape, is just figure out the ends, and then immediately it turns into form. If I want to add interlocks or something in here, I can just maybe this whole thing is an interlock. So, like, there's an interlock here. Maybe this cuts in like this. It's just like a front plane, and maybe there's another thing over here. Because I know this, I understand the surface, I can just create an interlock. Or it'll be more of a wedge, sorry. But then I have to change the silhouette as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A lot of times, you'll have a hard time drawing hands and stuff like that. It's not because you don't know how to draw a finger. If you can draw decent legs, you can already draw fingers. It's the same shapes or very similar. The reason why usually fingers and stuff like that, like, they don't look good, is because the overall shape is not working. Now, I'm not talking about the overall shape of the finger. I'm talking about the overall shape of the hand. Because when you draw a hand, we need to think about the knuckles as a unit. Like, you pretend that there's a rubber band. Like this. This was part of the demo from Hans about drawing hands in different styles. This was for the Chinese class, so it was like a random Chinese letter here. I didn't write this. My fiance wrote this. But the idea is you need to find the gesture of the overall hand, find the gesture of all the fingers together, then you break it up. Basically, don't worry, we'll go over this. We draw, basically we draw a noodle, and then so we can get the gesture of the whole arm, or the wrist to the hand, because that's another thing. The hand by itself, like, parts don't look good. We have to figure out how to always relate it back to the whole. So if you draw like a hand, it's a good idea to start drawing a little bit of the wrist, so you can figure out how the wrist and the hand work together. That's why we finish off with, we draw a noodle, then we add the thumb and the pinky. When we start adding forms, we just want to figure out this glove box shape. It's really just a glove shape, but on the ends, we turn it into a box. We insert fingers. And then we pretend that every one of our fingers has a rubber band wrapped around it, so we can figure out the gesture of all the fingers together, like here. And if we can figure this out, just playing with these basic ideas, we can draw hands in any different style. And we can even start substituting whatever shapes, whatever forms you want for fingers. That's why you can do, use really bendy shapes like this for fingers. If you're working cartoony, or if you're trying to draw, characters who have more, want to draw more knuckly, show the accents in the fingers, is the style, then we can do that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because that's the one thing, like always keep that in mind. If you look at like the cartoony hands, like this one, like hands like these, right? One with like the square fingers, there's not a lot of detail. It's just all done mostly with shape. Like the shape has to read and it has to look good just by itself before we start adding any details. Like if these are from the same hand. I was just showing, explaining how you draw a hand that's more feminine versus a hand that's a little bit more masculine, or more like worker's hand, because you don't want to draw this really beautiful woman and then give her hands like this or like this, or you're like, oh yeah, she's this really pretty dainty woman, and then you give her hands that look like this, right? They don't match. Or hands like this. These are baby hands. So even when you do, like, when it's the same logic when you draw the full figure or when you draw a character, like before I focus on any of these small details or anything, I want to make sure that they read very well from far away. Like very simply, same thing with these. Does that make sense? Like it needs to look decent or readable, and the shapes need to be clearly defined. Even if if you look at them in thumbnail, you can see them right away.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want, like I said, do not try to save your drawing by adding a lot of detail. If the shapes, if it doesn't look just like, if everything doesn't feel harmonious to you, like at the early stages, just stay there and work that out before moving on to any kind of detail. So like with these, same thing, focus on the stage 1 and stage 2. It'll make adding the arms so much easier. When I know there's some homework that was a little bit more stylized. When I draw the arms, you'll see what I'm talking about. So right here, with this one, okay. Move this. It's a side view. The head is slightly tilting down. I don't want it to be 40, maybe like 15. Okay, 15 is good. Start with your circle. This is a random thing, but if you want to practice like being more confident in your like in the drawing, and just kind of not a little in a will of ways not caring, mess up your drawing on purpose and fix it. Yeah, I'd be interested. I'd teach a character design class. Because I do it for Kazone as well. I usually vary the difficulty level depending on what's going on in the class, and I usually decide that like within the first week, because the first week it's different because the class is more about design and playing around with shapes a lot more, and a lot of sketching. And it does focus on, at the end of the class, there needs to be a finished character. like the fifth week is usually when I give out the real assignment, the assignment that, we're going to spend the bulk of our time. And depending on the level or of the class, we might, do something a lot more difficult. Like if most of the class is struggling with painting realistically, then we might actually bite the bullet and then do that. So you get a chance to finish a painting from beginning to finish. And you're going to have to learn how to render, if you're rendering like a warrior.
So the plan is we're gonna go and bug Simon until he lets Brian teach us character design.
It's a very simple class. I mean, the idea is, I know there's two things in figure drawing. I focus a lot on teaching students how to the long pose design one. That's the different figure drawing class. That class is focused a lot on teaching how to finish a drawing, like doing longer drawings, because we need both. Like this class is a little bit more quick, like not really quick sketch, but it's geared more towards preparing you for quick sketch and like long pose. The other one is strictly like long pose observation and how to redesign. But it's to kind of force students to finish a painting or finish a drawing. So they have to do longer studies, and that will help you with the quick sketch and everything. But when it comes to character design, if we draw more realistically, the thing is, you're going to have to tackle things like, and I don't allow photo bashing. I mean, I have nothing against it, but when you're learning, I think we shouldn't do that unless you're taking a class strictly for that. Like there are techniques where you get an overall silhouette and you just grab photos and you just smash it in there, and just kind of blend it in. But just so you learn the rendering skills and learn how to, you don't need to paint everything on chainmail to make it look like chainmail. There's ways of indicating it through shape and maybe a little bit of painting. We have to learn how to paint different materials. So it's like if let's say we're painting a character who's a knight, and that knight is wearing, metallic, like armor, right? Armor is not equally shiny. Like what kind of armor is it? Is it like new armor, like pimped out armor that like a king would wear? And then so it's like super shiny, nicely polished, has all these reflections on it. Or is it armor that's seen battle and, it's a little bit dirty and it's a little bit rusted? What kind of armor is it? Samurai armor has a different, like when you learn to render the material, it's different than rendering medieval armor. Does that make sense? Like it's going to force you to tackle all that, like learning how to render, well, how do you finish a character and make them look more finished? So it's like I said, it's just more focused on helping you to finish stuff. But in the beginning class is focused on just having you do ideations and just sketch like crazy.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the ideas is that when you sketch, number one, we have to learn how to put a little bit less pressure on ourselves and like draw knowing what this thing is. So if you're doing an ideation sketch, most likely and I'm trying to do a lot of ideation. I don't want to spend a lot of time on small details. I want to just get ideas out. And I want to keep the drawing clear enough so I can look at it and be like, okay, well, this is what I'm trying to do. Or if I need to explain it to somebody, the drawings need to be clear enough. So, so even if my art director or someone looks at it, they at least get the idea. It's not a finished drawing, but they can see all the ideations. Everything is very clear. And when I sketch, I usually kind of sketch with the mindset that I might potentially finish this drawing. So it does, like the sketch doesn't have to be like perfect at the beginning, but I do need to draw in a way that, if at any moment I need to ink it or I need to draw it, if all the information needs to be there, or at least I need to have enough information so that I can finish the drawing. If there isn't, then that just lets me know, okay, I need to figure out this area. So if someone has a pause screen.
I don't think you were doing that much.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that much. Yeah, I'm drawing now. So so anyway, that's like the main thing. Like I don't because when I taught character design at Otis, that was the main issue where character design is a little bit difficult to teach when you have like 30 students and they all have their individual stories. And it makes it very hard to gauge, is the design actually good? I mean, you can see if it's cool, and we have to listen to the description. It's easier if you just take like make it like a real exercise where like something practical. So let's say, I mean, that's what I'm doing with all the character design classes where um, if you are hired to work on, let's say, like Samurai Jack, right? And they want you to create characters for Samurai Jack. And I simplify it even more. I just say that like, okay, well, you're working on Samurai Jack. You need to take someone from Halo. You need to take Master Chief and put him in Samurai Jack. So the problem solving is going to come from how do I can't just take Master Chief and put him in Samurai Jack. It's not going to work, right? It doesn't look right. So we're going to have to try to figure out how do we simplify Master Chief so that he does fit into the Samurai Jack universe. Like, what are the shapes I can use? Or, because Samurai Jack does kind of go, he does kind of time travel a little bit. So we still have to figure out how can I fit them in? So at least stylistically, they match. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
It makes it very easy to judge. Like if the class looks at it or people objectively just look at it, like, that doesn't look like it fits, then well, we messed up and we have to go back and we have to try again. But yeah, that's why I like doing that. And plus, it helps us to study a different shape language that we probably wouldn't draw, or we probably wouldn't draw that way. And because we're kind of taken out of our comfort zone, we learn a lot. Like one thing I learned from doing Chris Sanders' style is that Chris Sanders, one of the things is he doesn't have sharp edges at all. Like if I look at all of his drawings, none of them have like a pointy character, like literally like to a point this sharp. They're all rounded off.
Everything is super plush.
It's plush, rounded off. All his characters are they're a little bit more stocky. They're shorter and they have like longer legs, especially like the females. The bodies are kind of short, the legs are really long, and the heads are a little bit big. But the neck is not long, so I have to make sure I keep that in mind, because if you go study like shape language from like The Incredibles, a lot of their characters do have long necks, and they have like really, really slim frames and really slim limbs. Chris Sanders is like the opposite. Like his women all have like these big thighs. Yeah, because there aren't that many male characters like that I see through Chris Sanders that are like really buff. So that's where I have to kind of, look at how he draws and then kind of come to my own conclusions of how it would probably look, and that's where I get to add my own spin on it.
He worked on the Croods, yeah? That's probably the closest
Yeah.
thing you got to buff dudes.
Like a buff dude, yeah. Plus also a lot of his lines are, like I said, I have to make sure that, or whatever shapes that he uses, the lines are never like I said, they're never sharp like this. So I have to figure out, okay, well, how do I design muscles in a certain way? Plus also his simple versus complex is different. If you compare like his shape design to someone like Sean Galloway's shapes are a lot more dynamic, a lot sharper, and there's more anatomy based to it. It's like if he's designing a leg, be something like this. What is the inside of the leg? Okay, so the foot needs to. Maybe his limb looks like this versus something by Chris Sanders. He likes to draw weekly toes. And I know why. I've spoken to him before, or I've traded sketchbooks with him. He likes artists like geez, I just forgot his name again. I like him too. I just don't really use him as a reference. Oh, Heinrich Clay.
How do you spell that?
I can show you his drawings. It's like Heinrich Clay, Kley, I think. Oh, okay. So Heinrich Clay, Heinrich, Clay. Yeah. So he likes Heinrich Clay, and he likes pinup art, and so artists like George Petty. So there's lots of shapes that I see in George Petty that I can see in Chris Sanders, and there's like qualities of Heinrich Clay that I can see in his drawings. So he'd probably have like a toe like this. And I can see it in the way he sketches. If you look, it's like that's why I really like looking at artists like that I like. Like I like looking at their actual sketches because it gives me an insight into how they think. Because the way Chris Sanders draws is very different, or the way his sketches look very different than someone like what's his name, Sean Galloway. Sean Galloway is very like, if you look at his lines, they're very like, they're very long, and I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know. When I look at they seem a lot more direct, whereas when I look at Chris Sanders, they're a lot more gestural and a little bit more wobbly. Like, and it makes sense. He's more of an animator.
Whereas Galloway's more comic book illustration, isn't he?
It's comic book illustration, but if you look at his stuff is more graphic. His shape. That's the best way I can explain it. Yeah, like his stuff is very graphic. So all his shapes are like very, very dynamic. Whereas, when I look at Chris Sanders, it's a little bit more wobbly. I think that's like the best way I can explain it. Like if I was looking at them in terms of graphic design, Sean Galloway's is like, more clearly graphic design because his shapes are a lot more dynamic.
Okay, yep, cool.
Just depends, and it's really cool. There's a lot you can learn from just looking at both of them. I mean, because Chris Sanders has that kind of pinup feel to it. Let's go Chris Sanders. See, he has like this kind of pinup look. And then if you look at Bruce Timm, his women have the pinup look as well. They're just different. Bruce Timm's drawings are a lot more, his shapes are a lot more direct. That's the best way I can explain it right now.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean.
And both of these guys look at George Petty.
Yeah, some of the stuff that Chris Sanders done is literally the exact same. Like the witch. I swear he's done the witch.
Yeah, they've all done the witch. But if you look at like George Petty's legs and feet, like how he designs his boots, and he positioned like the literal shapes in George Petty's feet and like this kind of leg, and then you look at Chris Sanders. But that's where he kind of gets that influence, and especially when he designs like a girl with boots like this.
Yeah.
He's almost straight from George, or very similar to George Petty. Yeah, if you guys don't know who Chris Sanders is, just Lilo and Stitch. That's in the Croods and stuff. But I think he's mostly well known for Lilo and Stitch. He has his pirate cat character named
Yeah.
Kiskaloo. This guy. Kiskaloo. I think that's how you spell it. So these little comic strips of yeah, I bought this.
Nice.
I got it from him at Comic Con. He was like, "Holy crap, $119!
Bro.
That's crazy." I paid him like I think it was like $20 or something.
Resale value right there, bro. Hold on to it for a bit. It'll be a collector's
Yeah,
item
well-
eventually.
Well, it is a yeah. I mean, when you go to Comic Con, you just that's what you do. You find artists you admire, and then you buy two of everything.
Ah,
One's for
yeah.
you. One's for you, and one is like, I'm gonna sell this. Can you? And they'll sign it for you easily. So, and I say that, but I never do it.
Ah, yeah. That'd be really cool. I want to get down to one of those when the world is open again.
Yeah. So figure out head and the neck. Get the gesture of the body. So there's a twist. Looks like it goes from a slight side view into a side view. Go ahead and get the gesture. Drop one circle down, pit of the neck. Like here. Okay, yeah, somewhere there. The shoulders, right shoulder's higher. Get the overall shape of the, now that we have the shoulders, we can get the that bow tie shape. He's arcing his back. I should really change this. Should change the art the gesture of the body a little bit because he's kind of bending his spine. Mark off the bottom of the pelvis. Does that make sense so far? So now I have a shape I can start working with.
Yeah, that works.
Right? And then so I can figure out, okay, so it looks like his rib cage is facing this direction. So like roughly about where the 10th rib is, I'll make a little note. And then I can do the same thing at the pit of the neck. I can start drawing my fish shape. So on this side. Here's my center line. Here's my twist. Here's the pelvis. It's half. I can start modifying my my bow tie shape. looks like the right side of the hip is higher. So I'm just going to draw a cylinder or a circle. Makes it easy to rotate hips in space when you use cylinders from this angle. There's the external oblique. There's the stomach biting into the side of the pelvis. Does that make sense? So you can see I'm really just focusing on my stage 1 and stage 2 so that when I do start getting my adding my arms and my legs, it's fairly easy. I can just figure out where the arms are going to attach to. I can easily just get that gesture. So I can even connect it back up to the neck. Just using the internal silhouette. I can mark off where the other hands are going to be. The shoulder on this side. That's where the shoulder is going to insert on that side. Because I know that, I can start figuring out how the chest is going to connect. Here's his back muscles. There's the shoulder. Like I said, I'm kind of lazy in the way I draw. I don't want to do all the, the wavy stuff until I'm absolutely sure, or add my bumps and all that until I'm absolutely sure that that's what I want, or the placement is correct, or at the same time, I want to make sure my drawing is very clear, where you can easily read everything. Like you see, I'm not really doing a lot of, I'm not taking great effort to do a lot of this stuff because I figured out stage 1 and stage 2. When I'm drawing fast or when I do a quick pose, I'll usually block in roughly about like how I did here. I'll block out where stuff is. Once I figure out stage 1 and stage 2, everything is very easy to connect. Like needs to be higher. Okay. So it starts like over here. No big deal. Just erase it. And really, if you guys, when you're drawing, if something's not working, don't just keep moving on. Don't keep adding stuff to it. Like take a step back and try to fix it or figure out what's wrong with it at its early stage. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Stage 1, stage 2. If you guys are wondering about like how, the different kinds of sketching that you see, like even the difference between like a Chris Sanders and like Scott Campbell or those guys, um, animation style, loose sketching, this is just a personal opinion. I think it's not very good for beginners. By animation sketch, I mean like so let's hit Control H. Animation style sketch looks like this. It's very loose. Because in a way, they're still trying to figure stuff out. Maybe they'll figure out which way the head is facing. So maybe this person is, holy crap, and they're trying to stop. Or maybe they're slipping. Even me, I'm not drawing it loose enough. Like this. Maybe I'll do it like that. Yeah. Even this is not loose enough, but the reason why this is not good for beginners is because there's too many questions on that are unresolved. So it's very difficult for you to go in and because an animator can do this, and most of the time they can go in and they can at least finalize their shapes, even with a thick line. Let's bring this finger up, like about here. Simple little minor overlap, back, pelvis, The overlap for the chest, rib cage, stomach, hip, knee is over here. It's going to be an overlap. There's the crotch. Here's the other leg. And this is kind of what Carl, sorry, I keep forgetting how to say his name. Carl, you know what I'm talking about? Carl Kopinski.
Yeah, Karl Kopinski.
Yeah. It's kind of what he does. But in order to do this, there's like some prerequisites. Like you have to be pretty familiar, like pretty well versed in drawing the figure to draw that loose. So I'm gonna do with this hand, I completely forgot. Okay, so let's say this one's coming, the wrist is coming down. There's the thumb, there's the palm. I have to make sure they match. There's the pinky. There's the index and ring finger. There's the index finger. And there's the thumb. Jeff Smith. You mean the illustrator? I haven't heard Jeff Smith in a while. Oh, okay. They're talking about Jeff Smith from Art Center, that teacher. But even if you draw this like in a very simple style like this, still want to be able to connect the head, neck, and shoulders, and it like the feet is a minor, like a minor shape. So let's say I'm drawing this, I'm drawing somebody who is I should do this one with the baseball bat. Just draw a few circles. My circles have been crap today. So some kind of head shape. Get the center line working. There's our mask shape. Pull that center line around. So there's our head. Let's say your character or this, they don't really have like a proper shoulder. It's like, characters like the Flintstones and like the Jetsons, they don't really have like a real shoulder. You know what I'm talking about? Just like that. So, all right, we can just start we can figure out, we still need to we need to figure out the body shape or how that's all going to fit in. So let's say there's a twist. So if he's leaning over a little bit, then they'll just probably start the arms up here. And usually that kind of style, actually even in traditional styles, we want to make sure both arms relate. Let's say the hand is here, just marking it off. If you guys do any kind of foreshortening, one of the key tricks is figure out where the start is and just right away figure out the end. For example, if you're drawing somebody sitting down, a lot of times when we draw the knees, and then we draw the legs out like this, it doesn't look as foreshortened. When we figure out where the knee is, it's like somewhere here. That's what creates that foreshortened effect. But a lot of times when we draw, like the whole leg, it always gets longer. So just find out where the connecting point is, and then immediately find like where the knee or the elbow or the hand is. It makes it easier to foreshorten. So the hand will be here somewhere like this. He's leaning over. Say he's in a power stance, so maybe his hips are pretty much even. I think he could. So I'm going to change the drawing because I'm going to draw something here that he's putting his weight on. If you're drawing a foreshortened like arm, what you want to do is first, I usually find out, I always draw the head or figure out kind of where the head is going to be. And then, when you're looking at reference of something that's foreshortened, you can easily find out where the hand is. But usually the closer it is to me, I'll make it even bigger than it actually is if I'm trying to make something dynamic. So in a foreshortened pose, if the hand is like this big, that's where say this person is like doing a flying pose or something, I'll probably make the fist even bigger like this. It's easier to place. So there's the shoulder, and this is probably the forearm. There's the head. Basically, draw the thing that's closest to you. That's the easiest way to say it. Yeah, I don't really need to mark off the elbow. I know if I find the beginning of something and the end, I know that, and so I'll just know that the elbow is somewhere in between this distance. Because sometimes when we're trying to mark, because we're really looking for the elbow, what ends up happening is your arm gets longer, or you're looking for the knee, so the legs get longer. Because you're trying to really incorporate. Sometimes we can't even see the elbow. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like in this case, the elbow is like, if this is see-through like glass, probably like somewhere in there. Like I won't even see it. So here's this dude's arm. I'll connect it back to the body. I'm just relying on simple overlaps right now. I'm changing his the gesture of the body because he's kind of leaning on this bat, and there's his leg. There's his crotch. I want to find the back of his butt so I can figure out I can draw the leg on the other side. You can still have the bone type feet. In the beginning, I just want to mark off where I want to see if the length of the leg is gonna look good or if it's correct. I don't want to spend time drawing all the bumps yet. I want to just figure out, is the length good? So it looks like that's pretty good, or looks like it's decent enough. Just mark off where the feet are going to be. Let's say this leg is coming down. So the knee is here, and the knee's over here. I'm going to change it. I want the leg to come back like this. Easily change the gesture of the leg. And the other arm, let's have it come down. You have it with the fists. All right, so let's just make a note of that right now. This arm is a little bit too long. And here. And after that, just finalizing the drawing. It's a bone style, so probably don't have to add a crazy overlap there. The leg, figure out how this is going to bump out. Here's the leg coming forward. There's the knee. Here's my overlap. If I want my character to have toes, or at least mimic a toe. So you have this weird, awkward, what's it called, shape here. So I just blend it. Take a little piece of clay and I just stick it in there. And since I'm drawing like a bone type character, they probably have 4 fingers instead of 5. There's the thumb. There's the index finger. There's the middle finger and the pinky grouped together. And overlap for the forearm. There's the bat. And if the other arm is a little bit more, well, you have them in fists, so we'll do that. Index finger will be higher, grouping the middle finger and his pinky. The palm, or the round part. Does that make sense? I think it's really important to make sure we connect all of our shapes together. It's very easy once we get this. So let's say, you decide you change your mind, but I still want to keep this body shape. It's not very hard to. Here's the new knee. Sorry, and then just bend this up. I don't know what he's doing, but then this will have to be a wall instead. Let's change the gesture of this arm. Now he's doing like a uppercut. See how easy it is? Just change stuff once we have the stage 1 and stage 2 working. Here's the foot. It's like Shoryuken now. Here's the or a Mario jump, whatever it's whatever it's going to be. It's very easy to just like switch stuff around once we have stage 1 and stage 2 working together. So that's the main thing. And notice there's not a lot of details here. Just simple shapes with a center line overlap. Very minimal details. If this reads, then we're off to a good start. JPEG. Any questions so far?
No, all good on my end.
So let's grab this one. Grab more of the homework, the batches. Oh, no problem. This one. Shen. Okay.
One of those says that it's week 2, I think, and that's week 1.
Is it the
Homework, I
one?
think.
I guess it got mixed in with this folder. Hold on. Okay. Oh, I see. There's weeks on it. Oh, okay. So Emily, you upload yours. That means if you uploaded it to Wednesday's class, it got critiqued yesterday. It's okay. I'll pull it up again. And then look at Liam's. No. It's all right. It happens. Let's see here. Wednesday. Quick. Wednesday night. Oh, it's not in the Wednesday night one. Let's see. Is it Wednesday night last week? Oh, checkpoint 2. Let me go to the well, we'll take a break in a bit after we'll do some more and then I'll look for it then. Get some more of these homework crits in. So cool. Even it's good that you're taking notes. One of the things is even when you work in like Popeye style or something like this, still need to make sure that the shapes themselves are very fluid and everything is working together. We can exaggerate. So we want to flow all our shapes together. It basically just means when we start finalizing the drawings, we blend all our shapes. So head's tilting away. Simply use an eye line. Get our neck. Popeye, I don't know. It's been a while since I've even looked at him. I know he has like really thin, like a thin waist.
I feel like he's got decent shoulders and then like no biceps.
Yeah, he's like no biceps and he's all forearms. Remember Robot Chicken doing a skit on it. It's like he has cancer. That's why.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And like the speech impediments, like because he's got a tumor in his brain or something.
Yeah,
that was messed up.
He's had a ton of strokes or something. And like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, that was funny. So many things we just kind of overlook when we're kids.
Yeah.
Like Scooby Doo. I don't know how that's a children's cartoon.
That would have come out back in the like 80s or something though, yeah? Like
Yeah,
they had no censorship back then.
maybe even before. I think maybe like 70s because
Actually, yeah, that tracks.
yeah, because when I was a kid, I remember watching. There were so many shows that were very similar to Scooby Doo. There was like other high school group kids, or I don't know how like they're kids, and then they're all solving mysteries, and they all drive some kind of van. There was one that was like an Asian family. There was one that was like a music like just a musical family.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, just the era. They were just doing all kinds of random stuff.
I wonder what happened to him.
I think they just didn't make it, or they just weren't that popular. And I think Scooby Doo was one that was just for one reason or another, it was just more popular than the rest of them.
That's fair. Probably because of the dog.
Yeah, maybe it's because of the dog. But there was another one, like they had a dog too. I don't know, it's weird. They're all kind of biting off each other.
Yeah, man, that sort of stuff happens all the time, though. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at Marvel and DC, you can see like the differences. Like, oh yeah, you guys have Iron Man, we have Batman. Superman, we have Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Flash, we have Quicksilver. Um, you have Deadpool. We have what was his name?
Deadshot. No, the other one. Deathstroke. That's the one.
Deathstroke. Yeah, they're like the same guys.
And then you had like Marvel has Wasp, and then they literally made the same character but called it Bumblebee or something.
Yeah, it's some kind of insect. As long as it's some kind of insect, so it's like
Yeah. But at least with like Iron Man and Batman, that's a little bit different, but they're literally just like copy pasted that other character.
yeah, they are. I don't know if you heard of Batmath, but it makes sense. It's called, I think, money plus armor makes Iron Man. Money plus the bat armor makes Batman. And they said that money plus, but the difference is like they had a guy like this. It's like stands for Karate Man.
Oh yeah.
Right? And for Tony Stark, it's just a man.
Yeah.
And they're saying if you take out money, you take money out of the equation, then there's no armor. And Batman is this, and Tony Stark is this, and Karate Man instantly kills regular man.
Nice.
They say that's so that was like bat math. Very logical. I mean, they use multiplication signs and stuff like that, so it looks a little bit more official. But yeah, that's basically what it ends up being. Therefore, they use the greater than or equal to, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Figure out the. I'm surprised they haven't remade Popeye. Just kind of thinking about right now, like as a 2D animation. I thought they were gonna do something with it, but I guess not.
I think they have a 3D one coming out, don't they?
I don't know. I mean, they're gonna remake everything anyway, so I was like, why not? Might as well.
Do you remember the Robin Williams live action one?
Yes, that was.
What a trip. Have you seen the new Suicide Squad yet?
No.
Dude,
Is it good?
that's real good, yeah. I mean, James Gunn made it. The dude's really good at what he does.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember, yeah, I went to the movies to watch that. And I went to the movies to watch the first one. The first one was really bad. Like really, really bad.
Bad.
Yeah, like terrible. But James Gunn, like, I don't know. I think he just thinks he looks at stuff in a different way from everyone else, which I think is why he's so sought after.
Yeah, that makes sense. My friend was asking me, "Did you watch Shang-Chi?" And I was like, "No, not really." He's like, "My friend's a big martial arts movie action fan."
Oh yeah, cool.
And so he's like, "I know your friends worked on it, and a lot of people but he's like, I didn't enjoy it. Why?" It's like I was expect. He's like, he said he didn't enjoy it because he was expecting, like, he says maybe it's because I'm racist, but he's like, but I'm Asian, so. But he thought he was like expecting it to be like really good action, like kung fu action, martial arts action, that kind of thing. And he said it wasn't that, and it was all right. But he said he was overall. He's like, I don't think we need an Asian superhero that dresses like like Asian culture and stuff like that. So we already have enough of that, like Black Panthers. I can understand because we didn't have that too much of that, but. If you look at like just watch kung fu movies, we have enough people like this, and he's like Japan has a long culture of Power Rangers, like Biomen, all that. So we have guys in cool costumes, doing kung fu and stuff. So it's like this was unnecessary.
I liked it, but you know, I don't know anything about kung fu, and I'm a white guy, so it doesn't count.
No, it's not that. It's just, he was expecting like at least an action movie with really good martial arts.
Yeah.
Because I agree. Like we had a long talk a while back because he loves action movies, and he said he was talking about why Jackie Chan movies, like the old Jackie Chan movies, why they're really good
Yeah.
because of the way they're shot. And he said, like now, if you look at a lot of movies, if you look at what the guy's actually doing when they're fighting, he says not impressive at all. Like it's the camera angle that makes it like, oh wow, they're doing something crazy. That guy just he just threw a hook,
Okay.
jab and a hook, jab and a hook, jab and a hook every time. He said, watch like a Jackie Chan movie, and Jackie Chan does things like 20, 30, 40 times because he wants it to be perfect. And he was saying like the shot, he wants it to be done in one shot. So you can see the action. Like he wants you to see what they are actually doing, not trying to hide the fact that, he's just throwing a punch and it's not that impressive. And I think Jackie Chan, when he first came to the States, he was a little bit annoyed because, all the stunts he does, like where he slides through something and and then he has to catch something or whatever. He kicks, like he'll slide through a hole and maybe throw a hat, slide through the hole, come through the other side, and then the hat falls on his head. He has to do that like 40 times, but Hollywood wouldn't let him do that. See, it's like
Yeah.
hurry up and finish. Hurry up and finish. So he's like, okay, well. But yeah, kung fu movies, man. It's hard to watch a good kung fu movie now, or I haven't seen any good ones. The last crazy action movie like that I've seen was The Raid.
I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, if you guys haven't seen The Raid and you just want to see crazy action, like really good, intense, over the top action, just watch The Raid 1 and The Raid 2. The Raid 2 is cinematically more impressive. Like, they have the low budget, but there's a scene where this guy jumps into a car and it's all done in one shot. Like the camera follows him, like while the car is moving, he jumps into a car and they're fighting and everything. And that was done. If you look at the shot, you would think it was done by a drone because it's so smooth, but it wasn't. It was done by a guy sitting in the car and they just handed the camera off each time.
Oh, nice.
I don't think they have that kind of budget. But like I said, the second movie had a lot more money. So the second movie has like really cool characters. Like there's this girl who's blind and she wears sunglasses and she fights with hammers. Line. I forget what it was, but she's like has a messed up face. But there's like the hammer girl, and there's a dude who fights with a baseball and a baseball bat. But the first movie is basically there's a bad guy at the top of a building, and they need to go get him. And every floor, people are trying to stop them. So it's like a video game. And literally, one of the guys they fight at the end, you will get exhausted watching the fight. You're like, dude, he's not dead yet. They fight for like 40 hours, I swear. They just keep fighting. And then every time they top themselves and they're like, okay, this must be over. And then it's like, nope, they top it again. And okay, it must be over now. It's like, nope. So it's just pure action. There's like almost no story.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So if you want to just see an action movie, it's really good. The second one is well shot and it attempts to have kind of a story. But yeah, it's not the story that you're watching it for. It's like it's the action scenes.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, did your friends, like the friend that wasn't super keen on Shang-Chi, did he see the new Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I saw the new Mortal Kombat. But in terms of action, it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't think it was that special. It was just fan service. That's why I liked it because it was fan service.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, if you don't know anything about Mortal Kombat, I think most people wouldn't like it. Like there's lots of people like well, they didn't even show it in China, but the people I've showed it to in China, they didn't really like it. They didn't get it. Like.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
If you grew up with Mortal Kombat and like Get Over Here, stuff like that, it's just like a lot of little fan service stuff that makes you like, oh, that's cool. But
yeah, I mean, I went in kind of expecting to not really get much from it, but I had a couple of mates that were really into it, and I had a few mates that worked on it, so that was pretty cool. So I got to see the names in the credits.
Yeah, I mean it's like God's was it Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus King Kong? You're not watching it for the story. You just go in and um
Yeah, you want to see the
um,
big thing hit the other big thing. Yeah.
yeah, I just want them to fight. That's it. Like I could care less about the story. Like um yeah, I really don't care. I got to see Godzilla and King Kong fight for the first time in daylight, and you can see everything. I thought that was it. I was like, okay, I'm done. I got my money's worth.
Yeah.
Like all the other dramatic stuff, like I don't really care. Like honestly, like people who complained about the story wasn't good or whatever. I kind of want to ask those people, if you guys watch Sharknado, do you care about the story?
Yeah, I think they
It's
missed the
about
point of the monster movies. Like no one's there for story. We want to just see the monsters. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what Pacific Rim is. It's like- I just want to see a cool robot fight a monster. That's all it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But back to here, I just want to make sure everything kind of flows together. Kind of has ET. Let me look up ET. I think he has like ET proportions. ET's got the really long. Yeah, he kind of has these kind of proportions. He's got the long limbs and the really short legs. You can probably even play that up. Does that make sense? Basically, like whatever shape you draw, you want to blend them together. Just get into a habit of doing that. Like if it's organic, if you're drawing a a robot character, then yeah, of course you need to have the angles, and it depends on what kind of robot. If you're trying to design robots that are more like retro, so they look like Iron 28, I mean, or Tetsujin, that's what they call them, and like Mazinger, yeah, they're gonna have more rounder surfaces. But if you're trying to design something like Gundam, they need to have all the angles. Like just to practice stage 1 and stage 2. When you guys are bored, you're eating lunch or something, you can just draw it on a napkin. Just draw some kind of head and some kind of body and just connect them and give it a center line. So this one, okay. Just be careful, just have a very clear center line and pay attention. Like if you're working on Eric specifically, pay attention to the proportions and be careful of bending the center line at the top. The reason is because our rib cage is 15, right? Cool. 10. A rib cage is a solid object where it's rigid. So if we start bending it up here, we're basically saying that it's concave, unless you're drawing a character who's getting like punched in the chest and you want to show that they're getting a hole punched into them or something. So a person, he's looking away, it looks like. So it's like closer to a side view. So I'll put the center line here. Extend the skull half radius, maybe a little bit more. Maybe that's the skull is somewhere here. So getting the skull shape. Get that center line. If I'm just going to draw Barry, I'll probably extend the radius, one radius, because because of his beard, it ends up being about that. It doesn't usually when his head is tilted, but because I'm just focusing on drawing Eric, I'm going to take, this is where the chin would be if his face was straight. since it's going back, I'm just going to bring it up just a little bit. So it's like maybe somewhere here. That's where the chin is. I'll draw the avocado to complete the head. And the half is somewhere here. Top of the head, bottom of the chin. Cut that in half. You can find our eye line. Pull back for the ears. The head starts tilting away. There's my skull. There's my mask shape. A temporal ridge. And draw the neck. He's leaning forward, so the gesture of the neck is in this direction. Find the center. Drop one circle down. The neck is probably somewhere here. And it looks like it's more or less a front view, maybe a little bit to the left. Find the other side of my neck. Add my Dorito chip for the underplane of the throat. I can finish off the mask shape or the head shape by adding a shower cap. The right side of the shoulder is higher. Go ahead and block that in. Looks like his shoulder is up pretty high. Shoulder on the other side. This makes sense so far? Okay. We're going to get the gesture of the body. It's okay to curve your gesture in the beginning, just so you can get the overall, overall gesture, and you can figure out the overall length. After that, because the first line we draw is never perfect, or it's usually incorrect. Sometimes, you will have those days where, you're just, like I said, you're on it. You just kind of hit the central line. You're getting a lot of your lines in one shot. That's rare. I just want to get the overall gesture for right now, overall length, and then you're going to go in and correct it. One, Measure my units. 2, 3. Bottom of the pelvis. Once I mark this in, I'm going to step back and look at it. Looks a little bit long, so I'll measure it again. Okay, that looks about right. I said, don't forget that little, it's not a hack. Just once you start marking stuff off, just once you finish, just step back and look at your drawing. Like since I know the average length, it seems like it's about right. I can go ahead and start drawing the bow tie shape. Right side is stretching, left side is pinching. Basically, it just means the left side needs to be a little bit more interesting than the right side. Kind of feel like it's more of a front view and at the hip, whatever. Let's just have it be a front view. I want to make a clear decision. Figure out the angle of the 10th rib. 10th rib will be 90 degrees to our sternum. The angle of our pelvis. That's what helps us complete the box. A little overzealous with the lines there, just 1 or 2, 3 strokes. And I can go in and I can design my rib cage shape, or I can start drawing my fish shape. And one issue I'm having right now is my neck is not showing the same view. So I need to get my neck and my rib cage to match, which means I need to shift some stuff over. Basically making sure that my neck fits into my rib cage. It's a good habit. And it doesn't take that long. Like if it's broken right now, I don't want to continue the drawing. Because this is a very simple issue or a simple problem that if I just resolve right now, I just spend a little bit of time, resolve it now. It won't come back and bite me in the ass later. My rib cage is a little bit lopsided. Let me fix that. There's my center line. Just fix it real quick. I can just wait till a checkpoint too. I'm more concerned with basically on the last week, we're going to look at your week 1 drawings anyway. And so we can compare. Can hold. Does that make sense? Like here, if I screw up, I'll spend the time and I'll fix it now. I'll try to take care of the problem now. Or if I see something like rib cage is lopsided, because once I resolve this, I don't have to think about it anymore. It's very easy to start building on. And what I was talking about a while ago, where I say you don't want the rib cage to bend, is basically this. Because with the information I have now, if I go in and I draw the skeleton, I know the 10th rib needs to be 90 degrees. That doesn't change. There's my 7th, 8th, my 8th rib. Here's my 11th rib in the back. There's my sternum. And here's my simplified pelvis. And the part that does do all the flexing, all the squashing, is the midsection here. So this part is flexible. Does that make sense? So we have to make sure that the rib cage and the pelvic forms, they stay rigid. Otherwise, you're going to design noodle bodies, unless you're, like I said, there's an exception, unless you are trying to do that on purpose, like you're drawing Looney Tunes style or like Tom and Jerry or Hanna-Barbera, that kind of style, then yeah, it makes sense. Everything's bendy. Cool. All right. Just pay attention to the central line and make sure your central lines conveys ideas that are rigid and ideas that are flexible. Just connect your stage 1 and stage 2. It's getting dark in here. Yeah, like I said, don't feel like you guys are, because I keep repeating it, it's normal. Like, even at like CDA, that's like week 1, week 10, where like all the instructors pretty much say the same thing. I mean, you get more lectures, but the thing is, usually, they need to make sure that that part is like resolved. Wait, this is Wednesday. Sorry. Okay. Thursday. I hate when this happens. My icons keep disappearing. So Dunstan. Anthony. Just looked at that. Okay. Cool. So even this, if you draw anime style, still need to connect the head, neck, and shoulders. Don't worry about like the facial features in the beginning. So let's say we'll do a full pose like this one. So draw the head. 15. Okay, 15 is good. It doesn't matter what the style is, just get in the habit of doing this. Doesn't matter if the head is like a beanbag shape and the body is like, I don't know, a hamburger shape or something. You just have to make sure they blend, they connect and they blend and they move fluently. There's my center line. There's the mask. Figure out where the eye line is going to be. There's the ear. Finish off the skull. It works to our advantage if we just figure out a skull, because especially if we design a hairstyle, we know how to design the hairline, and we know how to, it makes it easier to kind of grow out the hair as well. So, if we're trying to figure out, if this is a male character and we want to figure out how to plot their, like sideburns and stuff like that, we have that mask shape to easily tell us what the shape of their skull is. And we want to, let's say you want to have a female character or any character who has hair that's being slicked back, since we know the skull shape. It's very easy. Does that make sense? And we can have some bangs hanging off the side. Right? So let's draw the neck. The gesture of the neck is like this. So we have the skull, we can easily start blending the neck. push the gesture so get the shape of the body. Figure out stage 1, you can figure out stage 2. There's the stomach, there's the hip. There's a stomach biting into the hip. I think the neck is a little bit too long in the style. I think it's gonna look so good when I start adding the other body parts. Does that make sense? Like I figured this out right now.
Yeah, that works. Looks good.
And then because I figured this out, now I can start adding the arms. It's a really good idea to, especially when you draw like shoulders, it's really important to find out the pit of the neck and the rib cage, because one of the things that happens, or a common mistake, is because we don't figure out the rib cage, when we draw the shoulders, you know, it looks like the neck went inside the rib cage, like a turtle. And, you know, as I mentioned before, when it comes to the shoulders, it's the shoulders coming up to meet your face, or, you know, it's the shoulders that move up. Your neck stays the same length. So now I can start adding my shoulders. So I know the pit of the neck is here. And let's say there's some pressure. Choose a different color. Shoulders are being pushed up. Or you're having the kind of shoulders being pushed up where it's like this. Okay. So I can get the full length of the arm. Since I know where the pit of the neck is, it's easy for me to plot the other shoulder. Let's just say it's like this. This is just to let me know the overall length of the arm right away. I'm just drawing the outside and get the average width on the inside next. It's going to mark off where the hands are going to be, but I already know I'm not going to be drawing the hands because the knees will be in the way. I'll still mark it off. I could blend this back into the body. I can now insert the legs. Sorry, my dog just wants to sit up on my chair. There's this leg. Since we know where the hip is, we can find the other leg. Get the gesture of the, oh, sorry, I was gonna have her like this, but since she's sitting down, let's say she's leaning forward in a chair or something. Let's give her like the Chris Sanders style feet. The old illustrators really like that tiptoe look, is because it's just a cleaner silhouette. Also, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that back in the day, they want a lot of the female models, especially for pinup, to wear high heels. Because when they wear high heels, it raises their butt because the muscles will be a little bit more flexed. Did you guys hear about that?
Did you say they weren't allowed to wear high heels because of that?
No. They want their models to wear high heels.
Oh, right. I was gonna say, why would they not want that? Isn't that the look they're going for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they don't have to really, well, it just looks like that. So they would have a lot of their models just wear high heels. If you look through Andrew Loomis's book, you'll see a lot of nude models, but they're like a lot of the women, and they're wearing high heels.
Yeah. Because it emphasizes their calves as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they're standing on their tiptoes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird. Why are they all wearing? They're wearing nothing, but they're wearing shoes. But then I guess that makes sense. And then you look at the guys. What the guys are wearing. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it hurts, especially if you're a model and you're having to pose like that. There was a model at Art Center. Her name is Kat. She does um, she does costume modeling as well as nude modeling. And I think one session she posed in rollerblades or roller skates. And she did some crazy poses, and so it's like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
That's amazing she didn't get hurt. That's crazy.
Yeah, on stage. But she's a cosplayer as well, so a lot of her poses are cosplay based. So that's what makes her interesting. Because usually um, a lot of the nude models or costume people at Art Center, most of them are like actors, or they're trying to be actors, or they're extras, or some of them are like mocap people. So when they pose, you get like these really, dynamic poses. I know it's really hard to do that, just to come up with all these different poses, and especially like a workshop where, um, you know, like 2-minute poses, and you have to come up with 24 of them on the spot. No, 12 on the spot.
Yeah, that'd be tricky.
It's not easy, and you have to hold it. So we drew each other, like for portrait painting, and we had to sit there and hold a facial expression for 5 minutes. That was freaking hard. I can only imagine what it's like holding you know standing on one leg for 10 minutes. Well, they usually don't do that, but
Yeah, and then chucking like wearing rollerblades on top of that. Flipping, that's
yeah.
dedication.
Yeah, she was wearing rollerblades, and she was holding whatever prop they gave her, like a fake gun, or uh or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you figure out the body, because now all this stuff is very easy. Because if you figure out the head and body relationship, like that actual that proportion, like it looks good. When you draw the limbs, it's easier to gauge, if the limbs look right or if they don't. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And let's give it the same, like a similar hairstyle that you gave your character. So all right, so here's the head, and there's the bangs. It's going to wrap around the front of her face. Describing her face. These hairs, the hairs over here, they're going to describe her shoulder. This portion of her hair is going to describe the back of her head a little bit more. There's the other side of her hair. It reaches down and comes out here. They could blend her bangs into her the back of her hair. The way you think about hair is just think about them at like ribbons that are just stuck to your head. So if you know the skull, if you have, y'all know Trunks, right? From Dragon Ball.
Yeah, man.
He has like long hair. If you know the skull shape, it's just take a big ribbon and just wrap it like just here's the center line and just stick it on. The top will describe his skull. When you render it, it's kind of the same thing. It is just like fabric. I render hair just like fabric. I use that same logic. So brush. If this is a cylinder, this is a ball. Let's not give him black hair. Let's give him more, it's a purple-ish hair. I think that's why like a lot of anime or animation, when you try to make it live action, it doesn't look right on real people. Just because the hair designs are so crazy. I mean, they're just, this is a random thing.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't matter. Live action people don't look like Trunks. Like, especially if they have purple hair, it looks like it, no matter how hard, you try, it looks like a person who dyed their hair purple. It doesn't look like naturally they're, because we don't see it in nature. And plus it doesn't, I don't know, I just think it doesn't look natural.
No, absolutely not.
Like if you do, I think a character like Cell or Majin Buu or, most of the bad guys, I think you can CGI them out in more realistic style so that they fit in reality. But if you can even get a person and paint them up, do practical special effects, and I think they can still work. But I think like the Dragon Ball characters themselves, just because their hairstyles are so weird, it just doesn't look right in reality.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think they should stop trying to make them live action.
Yeah, but they're not gonna learn.
Yeah, they'll never learn. Even one of the better ones like Rurouni Kenshin, like all their characters, they even changed some of the characters because it doesn't look right. The one character that they had, who had like blonde hair, he really didn't fit in reality, like in real life. He's like a Japanese character with blonde hair that Kenshin meets him in a graveyard, and that's where he gets his his reverse blade sword. Or after he breaks his first one, and he has to fight this dude who has like blonde hair. It really doesn't look right, and he has blue eyes or something. So it's like,
yeah,
like because everybody else in the movie, they kind of fit. I mean, they fit the world. Like nobody's, everybody's kind of relatively fits, but it's just him and this other dude who's wearing all leather and looks like a priest. They didn't, yeah, exactly. They look like they're cosplaying. Doesn't look like they're like a real character in the movie. But you see here, it's wrapping around. And then, so if there's a highlight, just thinking of it just like fabric, it's going to be on this corner. So here's our highlight. And then we can show off some of the strands of hair. This is like Pantene Pro V shampoo model. Like shininess in the hair, but that's the logic behind it. Maybe where it dips, maybe they'll get a little bit brighter. I mean, that's what anime usually, the characters, like that's what they do. Like when they start plotting the highlights are not random. Highlights are usually plotted around the corners of the hair. And basically you take this logic and all you're really doing is when you get to the bottom, you're just breaking it up. And maybe you have like rogue hairs, hairs that just kind of go off and do their own thing. Corners of the, oh, sorry, not the corners of the hair, the corners of the hair form. So if you're, if you're trying to describe a ball and you have hair and you have your hair shape is like this, it's going to usually be at the peaks or at corners. They work just like regular highlights. So if your hair shape is like this, right, like it's a bang, chances are your highlight is going to be somewhere here. Because it's like a ribbon. And where the hair where it starts to get dark, or if you're painting really shiny hair, like like shampoo model, that kind of shine, it'll probably get darker down here because it's turning away as it turns away down here. And another interesting thing that can happen, because their hair is so reflective, usually when you design people with like blonde or even like red hair, if it's like not so well, if it's like super shiny, they have, I don't know, whatever they put in their hair, it's like super pristine. What's going to happen is you're going to get like a metal, it's like an effect similar to metal. So what's going to happen is when you get down here, let's say this person, has blonde hair, they have the regular highlight forming here, and then their bangs, when it starts to go down, maybe the model has their shoulder up or something, and they're wearing like a brightly colored shirt or something, you'll start to get reflective light or bounce light coming up this way as well. And if you need to start breaking up the bands even more, that's all you do. Just think about it like, here's a ribbon, and let's say the hair is curly, but this part is like more straight. All you're doing is like you're taking a pair of scissors, you're cutting this out. This ribbon will start to cave in. Maybe it twists on itself. I mean, this is all really hair. That's all it really is. If you guys learn how to paint like grass and stuff like that, you know how to paint spiky hair. It's the same logic. So the highlight will still be here. This is where it's turning away from us, but here it'll be slightly different because this goes away. This is catching a little bit more light. That's all it really is. Just think about a series of ribbons like coming out of someone's hair. I mean, out of someone's head. Yeah, so that's like one of the keys to drawing hair. So that's why we need to make sure that we draw the skull. Even if somebody has, let's say, like an afro, cool. but it's kind of a similar thing here. Let me just quickly describe an afro real quick. Do you guys know what a chia pet is? Do they have that in Australia?
Nope, got no idea what that is.
Oh, a chia pet is basically like it's like a novel. If you go to like any like kind of drugstore or like they have it at Walmart. It's basically like an animal. It's you plant like seeds on it, like paste basically, and you water it, and it'll turn into like a sheep or something. You buy it, and it starts off looking like this. It's kind of fair. It's usually some simple shape like that. And then you put what's it called? You put some kind of paste on it like this, and then you water it. And then what happens is over time, you get this plant that grows on it like this. It kind of grows out.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, and so it looks like a sheep, or they have Obama, or they have all kinds of like random things like that. But that's basically a similar thing to like when you draw an afro or somebody with big hair. Even though they have like wavy hair or something, it's still going to describe the shape of their skull, because that's where it's coming out from. So even though, and the further the hair gets away, goes away from the origin point, it still maintains the shape. It's just not so obvious anymore. It's like a ripple. You drop a pebble into the water, where it's close, where you're closest to where the rock dropped, the ripples are closer together, right? So it's very obvious. As it goes away, it kind of fades out. But even though it's fading out, it still kind of mimics the origin point. So that's kind of how you can paint, when you paint bigger hair. So even with these, pay attention to stage 1 and stage 2. Make sure they connect, because it'll make, judging the limbs a lot easier. So like here, let's say we're drawing a muscular kind of lady. But it's kind of a random thing. Like I said, more. I think more recently, I've just been realizing or thinking that there's a lot of bodybuilders dying this year.
Yeah, from like related diseases.
No, it's just related to it's not it has nothing to do with COVID. It's because of the standards are higher now a little bit for conditioning for condition. So they're taking a lot more dangerous supplements, I feel like. So a lot of them are dying because of that. And they don't do enough cardio to take care of their heart health, and they don't get their I think a lot of bodybuilders are saying that, oh, you need to get your health or like your blood work and all that done pretty regularly, because you need to know, like when you're at the show, you're the unhealthiest, because your body is not supposed to, you can't sustain that kind of ripped look all year. And even to get to that point, you're not healthy. There's people passing out and stuff like that, and particularly women, because women, they're not supposed to like naturally. They're not supposed to have like that low level of fat. I forget what the percentage is. I think it's like 20% or like 30%, 20, 25 around there. That's like normal for a woman. For a guy, I think it's like a guy can drop to like I think it's like 15%, somewhere around there, 10, 15. That's no, not 10. 10 is still low. 15% that's pretty good for a guy. But for women, it's a little bit higher because they have breasts and they carry fat differently, but they need that. And when a woman is like 7% body fat or 5% body fat all year, it's not healthy. And there's a bodybuilder, she died recently, or like last month, I think. I think it's just because the amount of conditioning that they have to go through, because you are damaging your body.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they know the risks, but still, like having a competition that puts you at risk like that that's no good.
Yeah. But it's the price, I guess, that they all pay. I mean, a lot of the, first of all, they have to take testosterone, and I think some of them they must be taking growth hormones, because you suspect that because if you look at like a picture of them from like this one particular one, she was Miss Olympia, or I forget which division, but I saw a picture of her like a year ago or 2 years ago, and she says she's all natural. First of all, if you're at Olympia level, it's kind of a give. It's kind of common knowledge now that you are taking something, because you can't get like that without it. I mean, you also have to have good genetics, but she says she's all natural. And then if you look at pictures of her like a year ago or 2 years ago, she gained insane amount of muscle mass in that time. And her thing is, she says, "Oh, I just have good genetics." It's like, yeah, that only takes you so far. Even the guys at the people at Olympia we know they have really good genetics. They have like the superhero body type, even without any of the drugs. And then they take steroids and stuff like that, and then they get even more. So it's like, we know you're taking something. Just admit it. It's not shameful, but you're kind of putting weird information out there that, I don't take anything. I'm just naturally, my arms can be like 20 inches or 25 inches. You can't do that. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I work out harder than everybody. It's like, no, you don't. There's people who work out just as hard as you do, and they can't achieve that kind of level, unless they take something.
Does Eddie Hall take stuff like performance enhancers and stuff?
I don't know, but I know he must take tons of stuff for recovery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. They never test you for that. I mean, it's kind of given. They don't test you for stuff like that at the competitions. Like, why wouldn't you?
Okay.
The guy next to you is probably taking it, and so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're taking stuff. They know way too much about supplements to not be, doing some of it. But that's another thing. If you guys look at strongmen and like bodybuilders, they have there's different genetics. Like if you look at like Brian Shaw, and he does strongman as well. And then you look at Eddie Hall. If you look at we're talking not strength, we're talking about aesthetics. That's like genetically. If you look at Brian Shaw, he has wide shoulders, like his frame. He has wide shoulders.
Yeah.
He looks more like a V taper. He has more of a V taper, especially when you look at them from the back. So aesthetically, his body looks more like a superhero. If you look at Eddie Hall, his shoulders are a little bit more narrow, and which makes him look a little bit more stocky. It actually does make him look short. And he's not a short guy. He's like 6'2" or something like that, right?
He is?
Yeah, he's like 6'2". He looks short because he's standing next to like Brian Shaw and all those other guys who are like 6'8", 6 foot, something. These guys are tall. There's a guy. Sorry, what?
I had no idea. I assumed he was a smaller guy.
No, he's not. Like Julius Maddox, he's the guy who's trying to lift 800 pounds, bench press 800 pounds. He looks like a small dude until you see him at a competition and you see him standing next to a regular person. He really looks like a bear. Like when he lies down and he bench presses, and then he gets like first time I saw him get up and stand next to an official, I was like, holy crap! It's like watching a bear get up.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
His name is Julius Maddox. It's like super one of the nicest guys. But yeah, like he's another body type. His body type is closer to Eddie Hall. All of these guys are strong. That's what I mean. It's like there's aesthetics and there's just functional muscle, and then there's also like genetics, because some bodybuilders had really good genetics. Because like Ronnie Coleman, during an interview, they asked him like, what kind of steroids were you using, and he just said, I was using the same stuff everybody else was using, like in other sports. And then he
Yeah.
said, but you don't see them getting like to massive sizes. Like that's where like genetics comes into play.
Yeah. 'Cause some of those guys like just like I'm guessing even without like taking the extra stuff, which they, I guess you say they do, like even without that, they're probably set to be pretty big fellas.
Yeah, already big guys. So yeah, it's not like everybody can take steroids and then get super jacked. Genetics come into play.
Yeah, yeah.
I know some people got in trouble for because it wasn't a race thing. They were just talking about, I forget what the conversation was, but he was just talking about like he was comparing certain athletes, and then they're saying we all have the same muscles, but depending on where that muscle, or like if the way it's attached, it can naturally make you stronger and faster. They're saying like Bruce Lee, it's just the way his biceps were attached and everything. It made him be able to strike that hard.
Was it not just that he trained that much as well?
Well, it's not just that you train that much. There's some people like who just are hard hitters. Like it's just the way the muscles are like if they didn't even work out, you know what I mean? Like they would hit like harder than the average person, harder than most people.
Okay.
Like George Foreman is a good example. Yeah, I don't know how Muhammad Ali didn't suffer. I mean, he did, suffer a lot of damage from George Foreman,
Yeah.
but I don't know how he didn't like suffer serious brain trauma just from that one fight. Because George Foreman knocked like 3 people out in one night.
Damn.
So anyway, still make sure you draw that frame. So if you do decide to start adding muscles, sorry, I made her a little bit slim. I think it's because I had a skinny face shape. I'll enlarge some of this. Because once I have that frame, and remember, even though women have breasts, they still have pectoralis muscle, and the breasts sit on top of it. When you draw like pecs on a lady, we have to make sure that breasts, we still have to draw the pectoralis major muscle. Let's do a cylinder here. Let's keep it simple for now. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen is if you look at breasts, you have the section that is actually breast or the fat. And then what you'll actually see is kind of like this kind of shape on the side, just kind of S shape. And that's because this is the pectoralis muscle and the breasts are sitting on top. So let's give her like a sports bra. And if you want to draw breasts and want them to kind of feel like they're sitting on the plane, just treat the 2 breasts like one unit, like it's a sports bra first, then separate them after. So wraps around, describing that rib cage. So we'll probably see a little bit of the, like you can see it even on her. We're drawing someone who's a little bit more jacked. So here's the pectoralis muscle, and then we'll get an overlap from the breast. And we want to make sure we describe the perspective. So when we break the breasts up, there's a portion of the breast that's flat, right? It doesn't just like randomly grow out. Homework this week is doing more stylized drawings of people, but make sure you connect your stage 1 and your stage 2. And we're only doing 20 because I really want you to get comfortable with this, because we're going to slowly go back to Eric because we have to go over hands and legs. And, there's the breast, of the breast face down. Even the breasts, you want them to relate. See, then you can break it up. Sorry, the right breast right now is bigger than the left breast, so we need to fix that. And then, everything else is just pretty much the same after that. And another thing is women, they, when they slim down, it looks like their rib cage is longer. It's not really that. It's just the way the muscles are grabbing on. They can grab on a little bit tighter, like the external oblique, because men, we get fat here. Women get fat at the hips. So that's why women have that hourglass shape, even when they're a little bit more heavy set. So when someone slims down, what happens is, that just gets accentuated even more. So it makes their rib cage look a little bit longer, but it's really not. It's just the muscle pulling down.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have to wrap it up soon.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so the last one. And also just to so you guys know this, when you guys draw packs, it's more obvious on women. We don't have a 6-pack. We technically have 8. I don't know why. I keep forgetting to look into this. They don't count the abs after your belly button. So the 6 they're counting are the ones up here. This is the longest one. And on women, especially like the female bodybuilders, this is really obvious. Well, even the males, but more often it's easier to see on like lean women. But yeah, so I don't know why they don't count the ones below, but yeah, we technically have an 8-pack. It's not 6. So basically, if you want to draw a bigger frame or muscular characters, make sure you indicate some of the stuff on the inside. So when you do start adding the muscles, like breasts, chest muscles, stomach muscles, you want to start adding the serratus muscles that they wrap around. So you can describe something underneath. Breasts are another thing that are slightly different because they sit on top of the pectoralis muscle, and the breast will actually stretch and pinch with the arm. It's more obvious. Like if you draw a man lying on the ground, you don't really have to think about stuff like this. But let's say you have a female breast or a character who's right. When they touch the floor, what's going to happen is that breast is going to touch the floor and it's going to squish. It's going to, these are just things we need to think about. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It looks weird. Like even on a male, if you draw someone raising their arm, but their chest is kind of in the same spot, and you don't stretch the chest, it feels weird. It's the same thing with if you draw a female character and their breast. If they raise their arm, you need to make sure you stretch the breast as well. If they, let's say they're like punching across their shoulder or something, and their breast is in the way, we need to squash the breast as well. So any questions about homework? I think we have like 3 more. I can do that. I can do that today and tomorrow morning, and I can send it out.
All right, that'll be good. Thanks, man. So it's 20 of the stylized 1 and 2s again, guys.
Yeah. If you guys are comfortable with storytelling, you can also focus on that too. That's kind of what the Duncan did. I'll show you some of their stuff real quick.
Yeah, he did like a full environment, didn't he?
Yeah. It wasn't that just like each individual character. He did like, well, that was the full environment. Like this. If you want, you can start thinking about a story, give them clothes. So, this was my crit for him yesterday, where it's like, you don't just draw a fat lady, you want to try to, if you want to try to stylize the proportions and give it a little bit of a story. So you can push the idea more. And this line was there to talk about, like, when you push proportions, a lot of times a lot of us start right in the middle somewhere. It's better to go extreme. Like, if someone is really, you want to say, oh, I want to draw a character with a small head, draw a really small head, and then, work your way down to the middle. You can always, dial back. It's harder to start, to be more extreme. So that's what I was telling them to focus on. Still thinking about the same principles, like stretch and pinch, all that other stuff. But yeah, the idea is, if you can get comfortable with this, you can start focusing on story.
Sweet as. All right. Thanks, man.
Right, cool. Have a good night, guys. I'll look at your stuff over. I'll go back to the list. I think we only have 3 or 4 more. So I'll post those too. Right. Have a good night.
Oh, see ya.